This video was sponsored by BlueStacks, a free Android emulator that you can use to play anime mobile games such as Azur Lane on your computer instead. I personally use it to record these YouTube videos, to save my phone from overheating when I'm grinding for hours on end, and so that I can achieve better quality gameplay. If you're interested, you can download BlueStacks through my referral link that you can find in either the description or the pinned comment below, and this will also be able to support the channel as well. See you guys in the video. Hey guys, I'm Ander or FBIOpenUp from the Lexington server, and today we're going to be going over Essex's gear loadout in Azur Lane. With her mini event going on, and because she is currently being rated up in the special build pool, I thought it'd be a great time to cover her. As you can see, there is your Essex. With this gear guide, that means that I have covered everybody in the tier 0 carriers thing except for Enterprise, but she is pretty straightforward, so I won't be making a guide just for Enterprise herself. With that being said, let's get into the gear guide for Essex. Getting into some Essex gear basics, she is the best carrier in the game right now due to her superior stat line that is then further compounded by her all-around amazing skills. For her stats, she has the second highest aviation in the game, only beaten out by Saratoga Retrofit. The rest of her stats in the other categories are also very solid as well. Moving into her skills, the first skill of the three primary colors is her red skill, Valorous Avengers, that gives a guaranteed extra airstrike that procs in addition to her normal one, that also inflicts additional flooding damage, which is basically the better version of the burn damage over time effect. In addition to this very nice airstrike that she gets, she does get an additional 10% extra damage to battleships, which is a very interesting and nice perk to have. For her second skill, her yellow skill Covering Formation, provides additional stat boosts that already increase her super high aviation even further. When she is sortied with other Eagle Union carriers, she gets a 5% extra aviation and anti-air, so that can be an additional 10% right there. And she gets another aviation boost when her planes shoot down an enemy aircraft. Finally, her last skill, Absolute Evasion, is when there are 4 or more Eagle Union ships, which does count her as one of them. She grants all of the ships in the fleet a 12% chance to reduce any torpedo bomber or dive bomber damage down to 1, which basically negates that damage. Together, Essex's fantastic stats and skills make her an absolute powerhouse, making her one of the top candidates to bring to Chapter 13. If you have her, you should definitely raise her up since she does spectacular performance throughout the entire game. And with that, let's move into her gear recommendations. Getting into Essex's general gear loadout, the first in slot would be her fighter plane. Essex has a great fighter plane efficiency at 140%, so make sure you're giving her a good plane to go and take advantage of that. The best in slot would be this F4U Corsair Pirate Squad. Now you can buy this from the Core Data shop for 800 core. It provides great damage with its bombs and fantastic anti-air coverage with its guns, and to put a cherry on top, the extra Jolly Roger skill that it has, that boosts your entire fleet's anti-air by 5%, is a very nice bonus. Next up, in a tie for second place between 3 planes, is going to be the F6F Hellcat, the Gold Seafang, and finally the A7M Repu. Now they all roughly have the same damage output, and their differences are only worth pointing out for those who want to fine-tune their carriers' reload times. If you're wondering from fastest to slowest, the fastest would go to the F4U Pirate Squad at 9.53, followed by the A7M Repu at 9.76, then the Gold Seafang at 9.91, and last but not least, the Gold Hellcat at 10.19. If you have none of those gold planes, the best budget plane option is this purple F4U Corsair. You can get this from 3.4, and it is a very decent option until you get one of these gold planes instead. Onto Essex's second slot, the dive bombers. Unsurprisingly, it goes directly to the purple SP2C Helldiver, hands down. So it's got massive damage with 1 2,000 pound bomb and 2 500 pound bombs. It's very accessible since it's only purple rarity. You can find this in US boxes 3.2 and 11.4. It's got amazing consistency, high damage, and is cheaper to upgrade since it's only purple. The SP2C Helldiver is the perfect dive bomber. that outperforms even its gold competitors right here, so make sure that you slap one into the slot. You won't regret it, it's the best. For the Torpedo Bomber slot, the best in slot is going to be the TBM Avenger VT-18 Squadron from the Microlayer Medley event. Now it has a slower reload, which is not good, but it surely makes up for it with a much higher damage and the additional Battleship Strike Force skill that increases damage against battleships and battlecruisers by 3%, and additionally, it gives an extra chance to go and inflict the flooding debuff, which as stated earlier is a very powerful damage over time. Now next up, if you were competing with the TBM Avenger, in second place is going to be the Gold Barracuda. The Gold Barracuda does have a much faster reload time than the TBM Avenger, but it does do a less damage and does not have that very cool Battleship Strike Force skill. Now you were probably wondering when you picked up this TBD Devastator from the Essex event, and you were wondering how good it is. Well, it is worse than the other gold torpedo bombers, but it is better than the purple ones. That's because it has this really weird gimmick where the first airstrike does very low damage, but then Turning Point, its skill, turns it into a very good plane, making it deal the highest airstrike damage. So basically the first airstrike is going to be completely doo-doo, and then after that it's going to turn into an amazing plane. For consistency, I would still recommend just using the TBM Avenger over it, or the Gold Barracuda, because you would really want all of your airstrikes to go and hit pretty hard, and you don't really want to miss out on your first airstrike. So if you don't have any of these planes though, you can always use the Purple Barracuda, which I don't have. You can get the Purple Barracuda from Royal Navy Purple and Gold boxes, and you can also farm it from 7-2. Finally, for Essex's Aux Gears, the best for her would just be a standard double gold steam catapult, providing her with an additional 200 aviation, which massively boosts her damage output. This is definitely the best loadout for Chapter 13, as it will let Essex deal the most amount of damage possible. However, in the other stages, if you find that your Essex is already dealing enough damage already, you could swap out one of these gold steam catapults for something like the purple Chordata homing beacon, which does provide you with less aviation, but in turn it does give you a 4% faster launch time, so that might outweigh the 40 aviation that you are losing. If you have none of these Aux Gears yet, the other okay choices are the aviation oil tank right here, followed by the 100-150 aviation fuel, and the purple variant of the steam catapult. With that being said, this gear recommendation is now finished, and let's move on to the battle showcase. For this battle showcase, I'm going to be running 12-4 as this for my mob fleet, with Essex and Enterprise in the back line along with North Carolina as flagship, and in the front we're just going to have our very reliable Phoenix. So let's go and see how they do. So as expected, Phoenix is not doing that much damage, but here comes the powerhouse. Got North Carolina proccing, and following that is going to be Enterprise and Essex. So, since there are 4 Eagle Union ships, Essex's blue skill will activate, which is not needed, but it is very nice to have to go and protect from all that torpedo bomber damage. If you look closely, you can see that Phoenix is actually getting dropped down to only 1 damage sometimes, because of that Essex blue skill. And also, since Enterprise is another Eagle Union carrier, she will buff Essex's yellow skill, giving her an additional aviation boost, and some extra anti-air as well. So there you go, there is a perfect, and North Carolina is the MVP. Getting into the second battle underway, let's go and find out who's going to be MVP this time. So as you can see, in the front line, Phoenix is having no trouble surviving at all, especially with Essex's blue skill proccing, making those planes basically deal no damage to Phoenix at all. So let's just keep on going. Looks like our backline is about to proc, and right there we've got North Carolina shooting her salvo. Got our Lucky E going on. The one problem with having multiple carriers in your fleet is that sometimes the dive bombers, the bombs are going to overlap, sometimes making the enemies hit absolutely nothing. But other than that, it's usually pretty okay. So, I'm just going to keep on going. Looks like the second round is going to come in soon. Very nice. And with that, the battle is wrapped up. I'm personally thinking North Carolina is going to go and steal MVP once again. just because the carriers are not having... They're kind of splitting the damage from each other, and there you go. Here is the third battle now. And as you can see, every time Essex procced, she did activate her Valorant Avenger skill. But the thing is, since Enterprise actually procced before Essex, Enterprise kind of stole all of the damage, meaning that Essex is probably not going to proc. Well, she's not going to deal that much damage. If Enterprise wasn't here, then Essex would have had all of that airstrike stuff actually hitting people. But as you can see, Enterprise kind of steals all the damage right there, and then Essex is left with hitting not that many enemies. So if you ever see that little purple black circle thing above the enemies, that means the flooding effect has taken in. It looks exactly the same as the Helena debuff. And there you go, our Phoenix just procced Red Phoenix. And that's a pretty good demonstration for her too, because she just does not die. And with that, we have the battle done in basically the same exact time as the battle before. Let's see who got MVP. And it's actually Enterprise this time. That's really nice. Now for battle number 4, you basically know the drill by now. Phoenix is just going to keep on surviving. She is the best blue, I'm pretty sure. Well, Portland and Phoenix are just amazing blues. You really can't go wrong with them. They are just honestly so good for their value. Imagine just solo Vanguard with Phoenix and just being able to survive. Cost efficient and it's good. And as always, my Enterprise procced first, and now my Essex barely does any damage. This is probably a pretty poor showcase of her since she is going second, meaning that not really much of her stuff is actually going to hit the enemies. Well, that's just another reason for why you should go and plane time your stuff. My Enterprise procced first because she has faster planes, and I gave my Essex slower planes. So if you want to go and have your Essex deal more damage than your Enterprise, just make sure that she is going beforehand, and then you'll be good. And yeah, I don't think Essex is going to get MVP anytime soon, but there you go. Here's battle numero 5, and this time it's featuring submarines, so let's find out who's going to win. My bet is going to be on the submarines, because they're just kind of overpowered. Anyway, you did see that little purple circle that pops up above their heads. That just means that the submarines actually inflicted the enemies with flooding, which is very nice. Specifically, U-47 I think does that, and that's very good. And here we go, everybody procs, and the battle is done in record time. Now let's see who got MVP. And North Carolina still got MVP. I was wrong. Woo, battle number 6. The final mob fleet battle for 12-4 is underway, and it's going to plan out exactly like the other battles. So Phoenix right there, boom. We got like 2 damage, 1 damage. Very cool. They're shooting. Phoenix is surviving. North Carolina is proccing. And the airstrikes are coming out too. Valorous Avengers right there. Shooting a billion things on the screen and completely missing because Enterprise actually hit everything already. Yeah, this is probably turning out to be not that good for Essex, but she is very solid. It's just that this unfortunate scenario just where Enterprise and North Carolina completely disregard and completely annihilate the enemies beforehand, so then Essex can't actually do enough damage to get MVP. If Essex was alone though, she would definitely get MVP. But she isn't. Hey, guess what guys, it's boss time, and this time I brought along my IJN backline because I'm farming for Izumo right now, and I have a very reliable Vanguard with Noshiro, as well as San Diego and Helena Retro. So I'm just gonna go and auto it and see how this turns out. Hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, Nagato's right there. And she didn't proc, which is pretty normal because she only has a 40% proc rate. Hugo Retro, however, does not even have her barrage, so she's very reliable. Onto the boss, we've got Maya and Chokai once again. I don't have any slows and I'm actually not playing on manual, so I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to turn out. It looks like Amagi just completely shredded Maya right there. Now Maya's at only 2, and Chokai is still at a very large 88. Nagato once again does not proc because she just doesn't feel like it. I'm shooting a ton of things at this Chokai right here, And as you can see, I put the San Diego skin on so that she shoots like disco balls or something. And with her main gun +1, she shoots a lot of disco balls. And honestly, they're probably not even disco balls. Someone can correct me on that in the comments below. Let's see for the third time if Nagato's gonna proc. And to finish this out, here's a big 7 Sakura. Woo! That was actually very nice. I might actually use this fleet a lot more often for my 12th war stuff. Very, very nice. Amagi steals MVP by a very large margin, and there you go. There's your battle showcase. With that battle showcase finished, that will conclude my gear guide for Essex. Not Rune, not Mom, Essex. So as always, if you found this information helpful, consider dropping a like and subscribing. Don't forget to press that notification bell for my future uploads as well. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions that need to be answered, and I'll try my best to reply. If you're interested, you can always join my Discord server if you need any advice or want a place to relax. And that'll be all for this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!